What's up, G Show Land? It's G1, and this is the G Show podcast. This is definitely comic talk. Me and G95, we're going to talk some comic book shop with you guys, but not comics in general because we want to talk about Suicide Squad. It is coming out this week. We are going to see it tomorrow, Thursday. But before we do that, we want to discuss certain things, especially the reviews that have coming out for it that they've been coming out for it and how negative most of it's been, and of course that petition that went up yesterday, which is absolutely bonkers, but we're going to get into that in a minute. Plus we're going to also go over some things we hope to see from this movie, and things we hope to get out of Suicide Squad, and just, the DC cinematic universe in general, because there is a lot to touch upon, especially since Comic-Con. We've got so much footage, and unfortunately I haven't been able to get on the podcast and really do what I wanted to do along with G95 as far as breaking down everything we've seen at Comic-Con with Wonder Woman, Justice League, Suicide Squad. I mean, we still have the Marvel panel that was kind of crazy, even though we didn't see anything. And of course, our Star Wars podcast, which there really wasn't nothing at Comic-Con, but there's still some stuff. That all being said, let's get into this, because this is definitely Suicide Squad heavy, because it comes out this week. So I want to just let's get let's get right to the freaking nitty gritty of it. G95, you've seen these reviews. I've seen these reviews. Now, we haven't read the reviews in fear of spoilers, because like yourself, I want to go into this movie without knowing pretty much anything, just basic gist of it. I mean, I'm even staying away from the latest TV spots, so I'm trying to keep it all on the down low. I just want to go in. I'm ready to see it tomorrow. But these reviews have come out, and it's been relatively negative, which is scary because we've seen this before this year. And, wow, what are your thoughts on that?
It is a little bit worrisome, but when I first started seeing the reviews popping up, they were actually they were pretty positive. They were like, "It's pretty good," and I wasn't looking too deep into them. I didn't read them. I just read the headlines on that to try to the clickbait headlines to try to draw me in on Facebook, to clicking the link and reading potential spoilers. Mostly, like, I was reading, oh, it's pretty good. It was a lot of like, it's okay, and then as more seemed to come out, they seemed to get more negative, and that's worrisome. But like, I didn't want to see any reviews. If I had a chance, I would have only things from the Suicide Squad like official Facebook page show up on my newsfeed if I could have it my way, and not unfollow like 24 pages. Because I like you, I want to go into this movie blind. I read a couple negative reviews of BVS before seeing that, and I think that kind of festered with me. Like, oh shit, this movie might not be perfect. And then I went into it kind of worried a little bit, and I left disappointed. I mean, I mostly blame most of the problems with that movie on the editing, but that's another podcast.
That is another podcast, because I went to New York this past weekend, and I was able to watch the ultimate cut of that, or whatever they're calling it, and there was so much cut out of that movie that really helped a lot of that movie. I still had my problems with the movie, but again, like you said, that's another podcast. But the scenes that were put back in, especially a lot to do with Superman and Clark Kent's, his whole purpose in this film, it really helped. But yeah, we'll talk about that in another one. I agree with you, because I felt the same way. Here's the thing: when BVS came out, the reviews were also very positive until it really started being reviewed, and it was like, wait a minute, whoa. I legitimately stayed away from all reviews of BVS except for one, and I caught it by accident on Instagram, and it was just like, oh shit, and it was from a very, very, very trusted source, and I'm like, if he didn't like this movie, fuck because all he's been doing has been like this was his shit. Like this is what he's been waiting for. Now I don't know if he's seen Suicide Squad yet. I've been avoiding a lot of different sites like you for Suicide Squad. Uh, but I've seen the IGN review. I didn't see the review. I saw the number. It wasn't good. Rotten Tomatoes got it sitting in the rotten section. That's not good. But again, it's opinions. We probably are going to have our own opinions about the movie. Like I said, BVS, when I went in, I was loving that movie up until the editing kicked in, and it was like, whoa, this scene don't make sense, that don't make sense. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake with Suicide Squad, which is scary because now I'm saying, well, what is the problem with Suicide Squad that these reviews are getting, getting shitted on? It's
Do you think it might be kind of a bandwagon thing? Like, oh, people shit all over Man of Steel. People shit all over BVS. It might be the cool thing to kind of shit on DC. Like, it's kind of a trendy sort of thing to shit all over the prequels of Star Wars.
What?
I like the prequels. They're decent movies. They're not perfect. They're not great. They don't live up to the original trilogy, but they don't deserve the hate they get. I think that might be sort of like they just get shit all over because it's kind of the trendy thing to do, and I think that might be starting to become the case with DC.
Maybe with the Star Wars thing, I think that might be a generational gap because I, for one, will not lie. I have a very soft spot for the prequels in my heart. But I was completely blinded and hypnotized by the lights of the first two movies. I can't lie. I went in, I saw them. I let it's Star Wars. It's the first time I'm getting Star Wars in such a long time, and completely forgot about how bored I was with the political situations of the Phantom Menace. I was more into the freaking lightsabers and the fact that they're Jedi Knights and not just Obi-Wan or Yoda. You know what I'm saying? Training Luke. But like I watch that movie now, and I'm like, boring, 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 boring. Awesome, 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 awesome. Boring, boring, and Jar Jar. And then the second one, and we're totally going off topic, but whatever. It's a good point in your question. Attack of the Clones was just, man, when I saw that movie the first time it did, I really loved it. But again, just hypnotized by the lights, man. I was caught up. I don't like that movie. I really don't. Certain things I do, but a lot of things I don't. It's disappointing. Revenge of the Sith, I'll defend it forever. Forever and a day. I love that movie. So I think that might be generational because you had your old school diehard Star Wars fans. There were definitely things that came before it. And then when, the prequels came out, it really wasn't about the generation that gave the prequels life. It was more about George Lucas saying, well, what can I do to make it, fun for everyone? Which he shouldn't have had to do anything because the original trilogy was fun for everyone. That being all said, with the Suicide Squad stuff, yes, I do believe it might be a trend. People just hating on it for the fact of hating on it. Now, look, I absolutely love Man of Steel. I have no problems with that movie. I don't. I love that movie. BVS, it's not a good movie. It's not. It's okay, but it should have been so much more, and it's not. Suicide Squad has, what I'm afraid of is they showing so much of it in the trailers, and is this all we're gonna get in the movie? Is this why people are upset? I don't know, because again, I'm not reading the reviews. I'm reading people's reactions to the reviews, and the reactions are all negative because these reviews are shitting on the movie, and it's evident when you see the score on IGN. Which, I'll tell you, if that the score in IGN, without reading the review, they gave it a 5.9 out of 10. That's low. That's really bad. And my friend, he told me about that, and I was like, don't tell me anything they said. I don't even care after that. I'm going in to see this movie anyway with my mind open because, for me, I don't think it's going to be worse than BVS. it looks like it's going to be fun. I like David Ayer as a director. I like David Ayer as a person, just the way he's going about things. Now let me ask you a question. Did you see what he said about Marvel?
I did, and I also saw that he apologized for his
And
comments.
I think the apology was the right thing to do. To be perfectly honest, um, it's when you're in that position, it really should not be about Marvel versus DC. It
Mm-hmm.
should be about the movie you're making and trying to make the best movie possible. Because let's be for real here, after we all see this movie, it's going to get a lot of comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy because that just seems like the vibe it was going for in the trailers. With the
Mm-hmm.
music, with the group. No other movie in the superhero genre has done something like that. Um, but yeah, as far as the trend goes as to hating these things, I definitely feel it, especially because the Marvel movies continue to hit and hit and hit and hit. Sure, we've got some clunkers. You got Iron Man 2, uh, Avengers, Age of Ultron, if you want to throw that in. Uh, but you know what? They still have they still have for me at least uh, a repeat viewing value. Whereas like Batman v Superman, I watched that extended cut and I'm like, all right, I can put this away. I can put this on the shelf now for at least 6-7 months, or hell, even right before Batman. I mean, right before Justice League comes out. But it's just because the movie was not as good as the Marvel. So yeah, trend, I believe so, but it's easier to do because the Marvel movies are so good.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's a fair comparison. People are gonna definitely compare it to some Marvel, especially since this is kind of the fun, jovial sort of movie that DC has put out thus far. Um, I don't know. I don't. The comparisons to Marvel are there. They're always going to be there. It's comparisons to Marvel and DC have gone back since Marvel and DC started competing in sales back in the 40s or 50s.
right.
Um, it's a battle that's gonna keep going till the end of time or till the end of media, I guess. Uh, I don't think there's ever going to be a clear cut winner or loser. You and I are both DC fans over Marvel, but I don't know. I'm trying to stay as optimistic about this movie as I can because Suicide Squad is the thing I've been waiting for more so than Batman v Superman for since it was announced. No, since Jared Leto was cast as the Joker, and since that first cast photo of all of the squad in front of Belle Rev, since that came out, I've been nothing but hype. I remember exactly where I was when I first saw it. I'd just gotten outside of work. I was waiting for a ride to come pick me up, um, and I saw it. And I was sitting outside work. I got out a little bit early, so I was just kind of chilling there and waiting for my friend to come pick me up. And I saw it, and I was just staring at it, like, oh my god, this Killer Croc looks fucking incredible. Captain Boomerang has this crazed look in his eye, and that look in his eyes just stuck with me. Like, oh my god, this guy's gonna be a fucking maniac. Um, I didn't really feel one way or another about Will Smith as Deadshot or the general look of Harley Quinn. Those two things seem to be very much up it for discussion in the fan base, I guess, for Suicide Squad. I don't. They're both fine. I don't mind Harley Quinn's look, and I don't mind Will Smith as Deadshot. I mean, whatever. I'll take it. I'll buy it. But just, and I remember like after uh, after my friend picked me up, we went to Chipotle, and as always, there's always a line in Chipotle. Um, So I was standing in line for a solid hour, and I was just staring at this picture, like, oh my god, what's this movie gonna bring? And that was last summer. That was a full year ago.
Yeah.
And and then a few months later, the first image of Jared Leto dropped as the Joker, and I was like, this movie is going to be great. I loved the tattoos, save for the damaged on the forehead. Don't love that. Love the teeth caps for when Batman punched the fuck out of them. They're not grills.
Yup.
Batman just beat the shit out of him a lot. Um,
And when he
just
was, yeah, Batman beat the shit out of him when he was robbing and being disrespectful.
oh God, don't get me started.
No, long time. It's been a long time since we did one of these types of podcasts. I had to throw that in. But
Yeah.
David Ayer did go on record saying that is not the case. This is not. That is not the Joker. This is a Joker. This is the Joker. So, go ahead, my friend.
So hype is just building and building and building in me, and I'm so fucking ready, and I'm not gonna let only the movie itself, if it's absolute garbage, is the only thing that's gonna bring down my hype levels, I guess. You know, I'm not gonna let reviews scathe me. I'm not gonna let douchebag internet fanboys try to talk me out of liking this movie or why this movie is garbage before they've even seen it. You know, only the movie itself can do that for me. You know,
I agree.
I think I let the reviews of BVS sabotage me a little bit, and I don't want that to happen again. You know, I'm excited for this movie. I think it's gonna be fun. It looks fantastic. It looks violent and fun. It looks like just a great summer movie with fucking superheroes.
Super villains.
Super villains. Oh, Batman's in it. He's in it. Rumor has it Flash might be in it.
Yep.
I haven't read too far into that, so whether it is or isn't confirmed is to me currently still up in the air. Amanda Waller, in her own special way, is kind of a hero or villain, depending on which light you choose to look at her. But you know, it looks great. You know, I can't speak highly enough about my hype for this movie. As of right now, you know, 2 days from now when we do our Suicide Squad review, my tone could have totally changed.
I can't wait for tomorrow, man. Well, we're going to be in 2 different time zones, and by the time I get out the movie, it's going to be extremely late for you. So I'm definitely going to try to pick your brain on Friday while you're working. Because, you know, yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about a Saturday when we record that podcast.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Oh, let me ask you. Being you brought up the trendy part, what do you think of the petition trying to shut down Rotten Tomatoes because they're giving it, you know, a rotten review?
It's just hilarious, you know. How often has an internet petition actually worked? I mean, not too often.
No.
That being said, I don't actually like Rotten Tomatoes that much. I don't trust their ratings. As like some of my favorite movies are really rated really low. Some of my least favorite movies are rated really high. I've never really gone to them for movie advice, I guess. That Rotten Tomatoes is run by Harry Knowles, right?
No, that's Ain't It Cool News, which, you know what? I haven't been on that site in so long. I used to go to that site like every day. It's religion.
Yeah, I frequented that site. Used to frequent that site quite a bit too. Haven't heard much from them in a long time, but yeah, I stopped being able to trust Rotten Tomatoes when the ratings or reviews of trailers affected the overall score of a movie.
Yeah,
To
okay.
me, that's ridiculous.
I got you.
I think, you know, to judge a movie by the trailer is one thing. That's kind of deciding whether or not you want to go see it. But like rating a trailer, how good it is as a trailer is another thing, and letting that rating or score affect the overall score of this movie is ridiculous.
I agree.
And so now I don't really look towards Rotten Tomatoes so much anymore.
I've never been a Rotten Tomatoes guy. IGN usually did enough for me. I could read the numbers. Rotten Tomatoes, man, it's too much with the critics store, with the reviews. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's a cool page. The concept is dope. It just never was for me, so I always stayed off of Rotten Tomatoes. It just wasn't my thing. My best friend though, he's always on it. He's like, oh well, Rotten Tomatoes gave it this, Rotten Tomatoes gave it that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not a part of that Rotten Tomatoes group, so I don't take their word for it. Um, if after I see the movie and I was like, well, what did Rotten Tomatoes give it, and it's a poor thing, and I find it accurate, I tell them, yeah, they got that one right. But as far as let's say Suicide Squad, for instance, you know, I'm I'm not taking their word for it. I'm going in. I'm going to see this movie open mind. Like I said, I am not looking for anybody's review. I have, like I said, I messed up just once with BVS, and that was from a very trusted uh, person in the industry, and just an overall comic book geek in general, who I honestly believe, even though they say they're not, I honestly believe he leans more towards DC just because he has more favorites in DC. And I try. You said it. I'm more DC than Marvel, but I still love and respect Marvel. I just don't love nor respect the prices of their books. you know, I'm not paying $4.99 for a freaking 26-page book. No, thank you. Or 23-page book. Excuse me. But yeah, that's not what this is about. This is about Suicide Squad, and this is about people going crazy, especially right now. That's what this topic is. People, stop going crazy, please. Seriously. Um, every fandom has a bunch of nuts and weirdos. Believe you me, if you listen to our best-selling podcast on this network, you would know we talk about the fandom, and that's the Godzilla Block Party. We talk about the fandom quite a bit. Bunch of crazy people. And I can't wait to get into that podcast later later this week. But we have to just stop. If people want to give a movie a bad review, let them give it a bad review, because we have not seen it yet. And what if the movie does suck? Now, hey, let me ask you this question. What if people say they like a movie because everybody else says it sucks? What if they're just, saying, "Oh no, it was great," but no, but they really didn't like it? See, that's where you have this double standard, because then the DVD sales don't happen. The home video sales slump, and it's because of those people trying to defend it, probably seen this movie and it's like, damn, it did suck. But they're not going to come out and say that because they're so adamant about it and they're signing petitions. And it's just like, stop the shit.
What I can't get behind, people can be as fanatical as they want, but what I really can't get behind is like people who look to reviews as the deciding factor whether or not to see a movie. Like, if a movie looks good to, I'm sure this is the exact same with you. I see you nodding your head. Is like if a movie looks good to us, we'll go see it. If it looks bad, we won't see it. Reviews, though we talk about them quite a bit, just because it's an interesting thing to talk about, they don't actually mean that much to us. If a movie that we like gets good reviews, fantastic. If it doesn't, fuck them. We enjoyed it, and I've never once been like, oh man, I kind of want to see this movie, but let me check the reviews first. Not once, not ever. It's always been like, well, this kind of looks good. If somebody wants to go with me, let's go see it.
You see, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was pretty much done.
Yeah, back in like the 2000s, man, when I was working, a bunch of us, we'd go after work, we'd go catch a movie on a Friday. But I was guilty of doing that. I was guilty of looking through the reviews. Now, if it was a negative review, I was like, fuck it. I didn't read it. If I looked at the stars first.
Mm-hmm.
If it got bad stars, if it was like 2 out of 5, I didn't read the review. But like, or if it was a movie I wanted to see and it got great review or great stars, I wouldn't read the review because then I'm like, I don't want to see any spoilers. For instance, Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. In my hometown paper, when it came out, it got I think a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I was like, oh, that's a good review. Fuck that, I ain't gonna. Or I think it was 4 stars actually, but it was just because it was so different. But but yeah, now I don't do that as much. Now it's more like, if I see a trailer and I like this, what I'm seeing, chances are I'm going to see this movie. Um, if I don't like what I see, I don't go see it. For instance, a perfect example of this, without a trailer, Comic Con, which was 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, depending on where the hell I am at right now mentally, um, they announced Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Today I was having a conversation with my best friend about that, and I was telling him, like, that does nothing for me. I mean, granted, she just won the Academy Award, and that's great, but I've never seen her in anything, and I'm not actively seeking her movies out. And Captain Marvel's just not one of those characters that I read, so I really don't care about it. So he was asking me, he was like, well, let me ask you this. If you had to pick one movie, you had to go see one movie, and it was between Captain Marvel or Ant-Man, which would it be? I said, no, that's not a fair question because I've already seen Ant-Man. I've already seen it, so I already have a preconceived notion about how to answer this question because I know what that movie is. He's like, well, what if you didn't? It's still impossible to say, you know, because I haven't seen that movie. I mean, because I've seen the movie. But let's say if you said Doctor Strange, even though I seen the trailer and I don't really dig anything I'm seeing, I probably would have said Doctor Strange because I absolutely have no care about Captain Marvel. Whereas, I know a little bit about Doctor Strange, and yeah, he's cool and shit. I'm interested in his character, but I don't see nothing in the movie that it makes me want to see that movie. But if I had to pick one of the two, I would probably see Doctor Strange. Um, so I mean, that's not a review thing, but it's just like if you're not interested in something from the jump, which yeah, I'm not looking forward to Captain Marvel. I'm waiting to see what they do with her in the next Avengers movie because I believe that's when she's gonna pop up for the first time and possibly get her powers.
Yeah, I can see that being the case. I am in total agreement with you. I've also been slightly unimpressed with what I've seen by Doctor Strange. I haven't been really blown away by it. It looks, oh, it's a Marvel movie. I'll definitely go see it. I, I don't think I've ever actually seen Benedict Cumberbatch in anything, but I hear good things about him, like a lot of good things, like unanimously good things.
You've never
But
seen Star Trek?
no, I never actually. I'm not a Star Trek guy. Um, but I'll go see it, and I'll go see Captain Marvel, even though I don't know anything about Captain Marvel.
Right.
I don't know anything about Brie Larson. I mean, other than that, she's going to be in Kong Skull Island, and that she won the Academy Award. But I'll still go see them because they're superhero movies. I mean,
Right. Brie Larson, Kong Skull Island is probably the first thing I'm gonna see with her in it.
mm-hmm.
Because it just she won the Academy Award, so that means she was the best actress of the year, and kudos to her. But the character, kudos to Marvel for going after high caliber talent. Absolutely. Um, and even on the DC side, they don't slouch either. They get some really good talent. I mean, look, say what you want about him. Will Smith is, for me, he's one of the great ones. He's got box office appeal. Um, and Margot Robbie's up and coming too, and you place her as Harley Quinn, and here's where we segue into our next segment. You place her as Harley Quinn, and I really want this movie to take off. I
Mm-hmm.
want this movie to do really well, exceptionally well, because I would love to see a Harley Quinn spin-off movie. Fuck, I would love to see that before we see Captain Marvel. You know? We know we're getting Wonder Woman next year, but how awesome would it be to get a Harley Quinn spin-off movie? Now, a lot of people probably like, do we even need one? Not really. But you know what? Um, Margot Robbie, she's a talent. It seems like she had fun playing Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, from the interviews at least, and just seeing them on set. I mean, she tattooed everybody. I think she got a tattoo on her foot. She tattooed, or somebody tattooed on her foot.
Yeah, I think Will Smith tattooed her.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. Like they all tattoo squad on them somewhere. That's awesome. I love that. I want to get a squad tattoo. I'd be for real. I'm not lying. Um, but I would love to see a spinoff with her playing Harley. Now, what are they gonna do? I don't know. But that's when you go and you get somebody like a Paul Dini who created the character to come up with a story, and then have somebody, a screenwriter, come in, take that story, and work their magic. And then then you go make that movie, which I think would be fucking awesome.
Or it could be some kind of like Birds of Prey type movie. I mean, they were talking about when Margot Robbie was first a couple months ago when she was talking about making a Harley movie. She said, "Oh, it would be just Harley movie, like a female superhero, super villainous kind of movie." So I'm thinking maybe Birds of Prey like that, or Bombshells.
Hold up, brother. You're breaking up right now. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can get you fixed. All right. You're totally like still right now. So let me get a mic check. Oh yeah, you come in and sound like an alien, son. You sound like Kanye West was abducted by space aliens. Well, you know what? See if you can drop off and then come back in. Let's see if that'll work. And while you do that, I will play some lovely elevator music. That's actually Jeopardy. So let's see if G95, you with us? I believe he dropped out. We'll see if he comes back. But while we're waiting, we might get a phone call. Who knows? We might get a ring. While we're waiting, let me just go on and keep saying and just talking about the Suicide Squad, the negative reviews. I guess it was bound to happen. We're going to get it. A lot of these reviews are coming from critics. But again, I have not read any of them. I'm trying to stay away from them. I'm going to see the movie tomorrow, and then I'm going to make my own decision. I'm not a film critic. I'm not. I'm just a geek. I'm a fan, and I love a lot of these characters, Joker especially, and I know people, they're not feeling Jared Leto as the Joker. I absolutely love what I'm seeing from Jared Leto as the Joker. I think you need to reinvent the wheel, especially because Heath Ledger gave such an outstanding performance, but he's no longer with us, and we ain't gonna get that. We're not gonna get that. So we need something. And do we go back to Jack Nicholson? Do we go to Cesar Romero? Even though that's kind of what Jack Nicholson was playing at a little more sinister. Do you try to emulate the greatest Joker, in my personal opinion, Mark Hamill? No, I think the only way you do that is to get Mark Hamill to play the Joker in a Batman Beyond movie. That would be amazing. Like, oh, I'd flip my fucking lid, for real. So what do? You don't try to emulate Heath Ledger. I don't think that performance can ever be captured by anybody else but Heath Ledger, rest his soul. So we have to reinvent it. And Grant Morrison had a very, very, very interesting idea with the Joker, where he actually did that. Where he, in his stories, said, pretty much the Joker would die, quote unquote, and then come back to life, like a rebirth, kind of like what DC's doing right now, rebirth. And rebirth into something else, something different, something more. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Grant Morrison actually wrote a Batman comic that was in continuity, a numbered issue of Batman that was prose. With, I think, a very limited amount of pitches. There were no panels. It was just pictures on a page and then just words. All like it was just complete prose. And if I'm not mistaken, that was with the Joker, and I loved it. It was amazing. And G95.
Hey, did you get me back?
And he's back.
Oh, thank God. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties. I was talking about the reinventing of the Joker while you were gone. And I was talking about how I like, I know people might not like Jared Leto.
I love Jared Leto.
Yeah.
30 Seconds to Mars was like the band that actually got me into music. And then being a like 6th, 7th grader with nothing better to do with my time, I just kind of learn more and more about him and watch, like, oh, he's an actor. I'll watch like all of his movies or anyone that I can get my hands on. And just like he's always had a special place in my heart since I was 13, 14 years old. So I was ecstatic when he was cast as the Joker.
I hear you. I was saying that for me personally, I was saying you need to reinvent the wheel because there's nothing going to you. There's no actor going to be able to capture the performance of Heath Ledger, and you're not going to do another Jack Nicholson. And Jack Nicholson kind of did a more sinister version of Caesar Romero. And the only way you bring Mark Hamill back as the Joker in a live-action movie would be Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, which would be phenomenal. So yes, you have to reinvent it. And I was saying how Grant Morrison in the comics actually did just that. He said that the Joker goes through these metamorphoses where he either, he quote-unquote dies and then is reborn into another version of himself. And that's where I was when we came back to you. And that's what I'm saying with the movie versions. It's the same kind of thing. You have to be able to reinvent the wheel. And I personally think this particular Joker is a great example of today. If you think about it. Yeah. I mean,
it's a great reflection of David Ayer's kind of street style.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't his first credit, I guess, writing Training Day, or one of his first.
Oh, I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. Personally, I don't like Training Day.
I didn't love it either, but it was still a pretty cool. Like it had its moments.
Right. But yeah. So I'm just looking forward to Jared Leto knocking it out the park. I think the trailers alone show he's bringing it. He's bringing it. And if they're ready or not, this is what it is.
I'm still not totally sold on his laugh, but I think like he's going to have a bunch of different laughs throughout the movie. I heard, so I'm hoping to hear something that's maybe a little bit more like the first laugh we heard in the very first trailer sounded like maybe the Penguin's laughing, kind of like a squawking kind of laugh, and I'm very used to Mark Hamill's manic laugh.
Well, you know what I was thinking with that laugh? I know what you're talking about, and I like that comparison. When Mark Hamill laughs as the Joker, he finds whatever he's saying funny. I think what Jared Leto was doing was he's scaring whoever's around with that laugh. It's a calling card. He's not. It's not. That's not funny. He's laughing. He's forcing the laugh. You know what I mean? On purpose.
I kind of get that, but I also think that this Joker might be just. That would actually make sense with this Joker being just a through and through psychopath.
Yeah.
Like just a maniac and doing whatever he can to hurt people, I guess. It'll be interesting to see how they play off the relationship between him and Harley, if it's kind of more lighthearted in scenes, especially considering this is the same Joker that beat Robin to death with a crowbar. It'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Dude, that's why everybody hates it, because it is Rob. No, I'm just fucking with you. But no, could you imagine though? Imagine that was it. I probably, dude, I'd be so upset for you. But it's not. That's not the case. This movie's gonna be good. This movie's gonna be better than what these people are giving it. I just read, it wasn't a review per se, but it was somebody's opinion on the film. And he was like, I don't understand why people hate this movie. This movie was really fun, delivered on what it was saying, what it said it was going to deliver on. And, you get a deconstruction of these villains, and it worked. So I was like, all right, cool. Here's one positive review. And I'm sure there's other positive reviews. I'm just staying away from reviews in general,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, the cast alone and the collection of characters that they're using, it's like you'd have to really mess it up to make it bad, to be as terrible as people have been saying it is.
I agree. Now, let me ask you, what are your feelings like? What are your hopes for this movie? Besides it being awesome.
I'm mostly hoping to see how they use the Joker, because they've been pretty tight-lipped on his exact role in the movie. I'm hoping to see a lot of action sequences. I'm hoping to see lots of action, lots of violence. They've also been pretty tight-lipped on how Enchantress is involved in this, and Tattoo Man. We've seen 2 images of him from the back, from 2 stills. He's not in any of the trailers. They kind of were hyping him up at first, or at least fans were, that he was going to be the main bad guy of the movie, but seeing the trailers, that seems to not be the case.
Especially recently, yeah. I'm getting this vibe that it's Enchantress. That's the villain.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Or like a squad member gone rogue, sort of. I have my ideas on how everything kind of fleshes out, or at least in the beginning of the movie, or for flashback sequences. I can hold on to them if you want me to, or I could go into them.
If you want, go into them. Yeah, I mean, it's your idea, it's your theory. We don't know if this is going to be true or not. So that's the fun.
I think that Tattoo Man is going to be only in a flashback sequence. I don't think he's going to have a very large role. I think it's going to be some kind of meeting between him, Joker, and Harley, and something. I don't know what's going to happen, but the Harley and Joker end up leaving. They get chased by Batman. Batman probably, that's when you see Batman, chasing them in the Batmobile. That's when you see him on top of the Joker mobile, I guess, or the purple Lamborghini. And what I think happens is Joker drives the car into like Gotham Bay or something and bails at the last second, leaving Harley to go in to like she can't escape in time, so she plunges into the water with the car, and I think Batman jumps in to save her, and I think that's the kind of thing that ends their relationship, I guess.
I like it.
That's my idea. That's what I pieced together from the trailers, and that's what I'm thinking happens.
And then, of course, when she sees him again, it's pudding.
I'm hoping that's not the case, because I really don't like the idea of them kind of glorifying that really violent relationship.
Well, I
don't want to see them glorifying it, especially in this day and age. They never glorified it, and I mean the internet and fanboys and fangirls who don't understand the characters glorified it. It was never glorified when Harley showed up in the show or in any of the comics. Like even in the animated series, Joker was really abusive towards her. Like there was that episode where she captured Batman, and Joker tries to kill her.
Yep.
And like they've never glorified their relationship. It's always been abusive, pretty much from the start. And I don't want to see them going down that kind of road where they might think that or they might give the impression that this relationship is okay.
Well, no, that's not where I was going with that.
Well, I think I don't think that's what's going to happen. I was having that conversation with a friend today, actually. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think David Ayer is smart enough not to go down that road. But I'll let you say your piece now.
Oh yeah, no, I was going to say what I meant was I was referring to the abusive relationship. When she sees the Joker, she's all in love again, and he's just like, yeah, okay, like he knows he got her wrapped around his finger and can do whatever he wants with her, manipulate her, use her to infiltrate, whatever he got to do to win. to get whatever he wants. He's the Joker, and that's. So yeah, I wasn't saying that they were making like a lovey-dovey type of thing. I mean it more like when she sees him, she can't get enough of him. Like it's when he's not around, her head is in a different game. But once he gets around, it's all him. Because that's the psychosis, and that's why I love that character so much. It's such a perfect compliment to the Joker, and I've always loved the Joker from way back when. Harley Quinn was like an added bonus. So when they added her in canon, in the comic books and shit, I was like, wow. Don't get me wrong, I never read it. I wouldn't go out of my way and pick up Harley Quinn comics. I just didn't do that. But if she's in Detective or in Batman or wherever with the Joker, abso-fucking-lutely, I love it. But yeah,
I'm also really excited to see just the rest of the squad. Katana's gonna kick ass. I'm crazy excited to see Captain Boomerang and Killer Croc. From what I've seen of him thus far, the guy who plays Rick Flag seems like he's gonna knock it out of the park, and I'm really hoping he doesn't die. I like Rick Flag a lot.
Oh no! I have my theory on who in the squad dies. Slipknot.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Slipknot?
Right.
He's such a throwaway character, man.
We all know he's the squad member that's going to try to leave, and then Amanda Waller blows his head off.
If that, or he maybe even dies in battle. But I just think he's a red shirt, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never even heard of Slipknot, so I'm like, what the Slipknot? And then he just looks so generic. He doesn't even look like he fits in. So it's like that guy, he's done.
I don't know, like Amanda Waller in the trailer says like, oh, we're putting a team together with people with special abilities, and the only person on the team with actual powers is Diablo or maybe Enchantress. Like those are the only two people in this movie who have powers, it seems like.
Well, Katana Sword.
True. I didn't think about that.
But again, I don't know if you watched all the those little character pieces that they put out.
I did. Yep.
You did. Well, Katana's not a part of the. Well, she's not a part of the
She's
squad.
not in the squad. She's Rick Flag's bodyguard.
Yeah, so I love that. I was like, oh, good, because I was like, damn, I hope she's not like infiltrating or whatever the case may be. But I absolutely love that. Yeah, no, Katana's there. She's a hero, and she's the ward. Like she's the warden here. I love that.
Yeah, she's the enforcer.
I can't wait to see how she gets down because actually Katana's one of my favorite characters in the comics, and like I like her character in general. I just
and she was so mishandled in Arrow that I'm excited to see them get it right.
Really, because I actually liked in Arrow. I was like, it was one of my favorite parts of that season because that season was Drek. And I didn't even watch all of last season, which I got to catch up on because the season before with Ra's al Ghul just turned me right the fuck off.
Well, Katana shows back up briefly in the intro to one episode, so there's that to look forward to. But let's talk about Captain Boomerang and Killer Croc. Those are, besides the Joker, those are the two I'm most excited for. Like, Jai Courtney seems like a pretty awful actor in everything else I've seen him in, like a real discount Tom Hardy. But that's what he looks like. But
That's so fucked up, man. I like Jai Courtney.
he looks like he's gonna kill it as Captain Boomerang. Just the look, like the first image of him with that big overcoat, and then like the jersey thing that he's got on, and that stupid grin, like, oh my god, he's gonna kill it. Or when you see him in the first or second trailer, like there's bullets flying around, and he's just ducking down, opening up a beer. Like that's fucking Captain Boomerang.
Hell yeah! It's such a different take on Captain Boomerang. What's Digger Harkness? I can't wait to see that. Especially, it looks like the man hasn't slept in years. He's
I know.
Really dark eyes, and yeah, no, he's
Probably
definitely
black eyes. Actually, they're not like he probably just got in a big fight one day and then
ended up in Belle Rev.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing him because yeah, it's definitely something we've never seen before from Jai Courtney. Now, I actually liked him in Terminator Genesis, and I know a lot of people don't like that movie. I personally do. That's a
I didn't get around to seeing it.
that's a podcast for another time when we talk about Terminator because I got a lot to say about that. And I
Oh,
thought he
yeah.
was all right in that. I did. He did not ruin the movie at all. Nothing ruined that movie except for John Connor, maybe. But anyway, that's that.
Well,
But
now that I know that he's actually in it, which I didn't know before you said it, I think I'll sit down and watch it before I go see Suicide Squad.
well, that's good because now you only have about 24 hours to do so.
I can squeeze it in. But Killer Croc also looks incredible. He looks vicious. He looks like Killer Croc. Like what Killer Croc is supposed to be, not what the Arkham games kind of made him to be. Like,
That was Jim Lee's fault.
what's that?
That was Jim Lee's fault when Jim Lee drew Killer Croc in Hush.
That's right. Yeah, that was Killer Croc after he'd been mutated by Hush.
Exactly, and that didn't even look like. If you go back and look at that comic, that doesn't even look like anything resembling a crocodile. It's just like this gigantic thing, and then its face is. I don't know. It's just like I was totally upset with Jim Lee. He's one of my favorite artists, but I was like, what the fuck is this? But
But now that's what people think of Killer Croc, is that he's this giant mutant when he's just a guy with a cannibal with a skin condition.
right. But what I like.
Who thought throwing a rock at Batman was an almost got him story.
Hold up. That's still one of the best episodes of Batman ever.
Right.
I love
I
it.
had him at the corner, and I threw a rock at him.
Dude, I've quoted that. I've quoted that at least a million times since I've seen that episode. I quote that. Shit, man. At least twice a week, I threw a rock at him. It just comes out. It's just one of those things that's always stuck with me.
Right.
But what I love, because I too cannot wait to see Killer Croc. First off, the fact that we're getting Killer Croc on screen, yes, please. Are you kidding me? Not in a Batman movie? That's insanity. Second off, that they made him kind of look like Killer Croc from the animated series, and there is a very, very good comic. I think it's just called Joker.
Yep, I read that.
Okay, it's real. It came out like right after The Dark Knight, and it is like the most realistic Joker. And in that one, it was like the most realistic Killer Croc. Brian Azzarello wrote it, and I don't remember who did the art, but it was beautifully done. And that was a really good looking Killer Croc because, like you said, it's just a big dude with a skin condition, and they nailed it. They nailed it, and that's what this looks like. But in the movie, he kind of does look a little more mutant because his eyes, they do blink like a crocodile's eyes would blink.
Tuesday.
Yeah, you didn't. It's in the trailer.
Noticed that.
It's in the trailer. His eyes has that. They have that film that comes across instead of his lids closing up and down. It comes across, which isn't a bad thing. Again, I don't mind that because to me that's just he's a metahuman, and that's what they're introducing that, and I love that. I love the idea of that. So I'm not mad at it at all.
No, me either. I think he looks incredible, and the fact that it's makeup and not CGI looks it's amazing that they're doing that. Like when I first saw it, I thought, okay, this looks like CGI. Like it looks so good that it was fake. Once you look closer at it, or like the stills that they released a few weeks ago of like all the members' mugshots, basically. Like that looks amazing. It looks it's so good, and it's I guess Greg Nicotero, the head honcho at KMB, actually supervised the design for Killer Croc.
Now, Greg Nicotero, for those who don't know, this is a comic book show. He's the guy that does the zombies on The Walking Dead.
He's the guy who did pretty much every big movie, every big and small movie since Evil Dead 2.
He was Tom Savini's apprentice, and then he and a couple other friends started a makeup company, and then they became head honchos for it. They won an Oscar for either, I think, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, or one of the Narnia Chronicles movies, and they're the biggest and best in Hollywood. You know,
Eat your heart out, Stan Winston. Well, I didn't know Greg Nicotero had was doing the designs in Suicide Squad, especially for Killer Croc. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I actually just found out that last week. I followed him on Instagram. He posted up a picture of like a mock-up of Killer Croc, a very different looking Killer Croc, and he had like torn up, shredded up prison fatigues, I guess, and he had a necklace of like bones, and he is very different looking, but like that's very obviously Killer Croc. And I guess he supervised the design on it.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, another thing to look forward to with this movie, man. Again, you see things like that. The practical effects on Killer Croc, the action sequences in the trailers, and I sit here saying, why the review so bad? Now it harkens back to a couple of months ago when they started doing reshoots right after BVS came out, and they were like, is it because BVS wasn't what the fans wanted? So it's like, did they change the movie? I don't know. I don't think David Ayer went that route. I think he made the movie he wanted to make.
Well, was it you and I that we were talking about how like every movie does reshoots and it's not a big deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what this was the case of. This was them either fixing things that needed to be tweaked or fixed, or just doing basic pickup shots that every single movie does.
But it's hard, especially when you hear that coming from this particular camp, being the follow-up to Batman versus Superman. Because let's be for real here. This movie, if Batman v Superman was good, then this movie, I don't think it won't make Batman v Superman money. But Batman v Superman should have made a lot more money than it did, you know. So like this movie it wouldn't have mattered if BVS was good and this movie wasn't, because BVS was good and that's setting up the Justice League. But because BVS has gotten pretty much universally panned, this movie needed to work. You see, the difference with like Man of Steel to BVS was there's lovers and haters of that, but it's split pretty much down the middle. Whereas BVS, it's really not that split. It's a lot more hate. You know, there's a lot more people who did not like that movie than there are people who did like that movie. And that's why Suicide Squad needs to work, because they need to kind of get themselves out of a hole. Now, hopefully we go see this movie, and again, blows everybody's minds. And for those who, you know, those, let's say, 1,000 people who got to see it early, they don't know what they're talking about. But again, we see it tomorrow, so we'll see for ourselves. And I'll tell you, man, our review podcast, which I might have one other person on with us, it should be very interesting.
Regardless of how it goes, it'll be a conversation for the ages.
Oh yeah, especially when the reveal is Jason Todd is the Joker. I can't. All right, that's 3 times. I apologize. I'm going to stop that.
Well, we're still going to talk about how DC is actually like listening to their people's criticisms. You know, first it was Man of Steel. Okay, the collateral damage is ridiculous, and Superman's suit is too dark. So what do? They made BVS about the collateral damage of the destruction of Metropolis and how Superman was partially responsible for that, and they lightened his suit up a bunch. People complained like, okay, well, that BVS was way too dark and it was kind of confusing, and we want something a little bit more lighthearted because that was really grim. What did they do? They're making an active choice to make Justice League more lighthearted, both in tone and in the way the characters act. You know, the events of BVS caused Batman to reconsider his killing rule. You know, he's not going to kill anymore, either directly or indirectly.
He says it at the end of that movie. He does say it.
And what's that?
He says it at the end of BVS. I'm going to honor him in death.
Exactly, and I think, and it's really cool that and I think they're probably taking some of the complaints, or maybe at least some preliminary complaints, because Suicide Squad was finished shooting by the time BVS came out, save for those reshoots. I think they're probably taking some preliminary criticisms that BVS was getting and applying those changes towards Suicide Squad. So maybe it'll be a much different movie. Like, DC is actually adapting from movie to movie, whereas Marvel seems kind of like, sure, they've gotten a little bit more dark and edgy and political and expanded their world. It's still kind of the same, like, 1-2 punchlines in their movies. It's very, like, you know what, save for an Avengers movie or Civil War, you kind of know what you're getting in a Marvel movie. Whereas DC's are always, it's like with every movie we've gotten so far, it's been different. And Suicide Squad is different, and Justice League is going to be different. And I assume Justice League Part 2 is going to be vastly different than Part 1. So DC is listening to their fans, or to the criticisms. They're taking that into account, and they want to make the best movies possible. You know, people were livid with what Zack Snyder did to BVS, and now he has a lesser role in DC because of it. You know, they're listening, and that's an important thing that can't be overlooked.
I agree. What Marvel had that DC did not have, though, was a vision, a game plan.
Yeah.
Marvel had a game plan. If Iron Man works, we move forward. They introduced the Avengers Initiative, and that right there made fanboys go crazy and clamor for more. That made the average movie-going audience say, what the hell is that? Because, you know, it was this after-credit sequence, and it was like, oh, shit, are they setting something up? What's going on? Like, you know, if you don't know comic books, whatever the case may be, you know this is a comic book movie. So hearing that, maybe it piques your interest. You Google what the Avengers are. You see Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, you know, Wasp, all that shit. And you're like, wow, what they're not going for that. And then they went for it, and it paid the fuck off. It seemed like Warner Brothers didn't have a vision with DC, with the DC property. Because it seemed like they just let Zack Snyder do whatever he wanted to do. And that's not what you need to do. Because that's, to me, that's the same thing as Michael Bay doing whatever the fuck he wants to do with Transformers. And no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Somebody needs to rein people in. Now, DC, like you said, they're fixing. They put Jeff Johns in charge of like storyboarding and shit. I think that was a genius move because they needed somebody like that. Because Jeff Johns knows these characters the way Kevin Feige knows the Marvel universe and what he wants. He has a vision, and it's been paying off. It's been paying off. Every single movie, it's been paying off. And it's going to something humongous for us, where we're going to be like, holy crap. DC needed Jeff Johns to come aboard and say, okay, look, because he's written some of the best DC work in the past 10, 15 years. He's done it. Yes, he gets a story credit on Green Lantern, but he didn't direct that movie. You know, that movie should have been better. But I trust in his vision.
And they definitely have a vision now.
Yeah.
I assume by the time the script was locked for BVS, they realized we got to take this further. We have to know what we're doing. And that's why the past 2 years has been about planting the seeds about what's to come for the next 4.
Right.
And they are taking that page from Marvel. I don't think they're trying to play catch up. I think I actually think Suicide Squad might be, in a way of kind of saying, like, their response to people saying, like, oh, BVS is crowded, but Civil War isn't, or whatever. They're stuffing all these characters into Suicide Squad. Granted, it is an ensemble film, and I think most people know that. But I haven't heard one complaint about, like, this. There's too many heroes, or there's too many villains, or there's too many characters in this movie, and which is something we got a lot of in BVS. But ultimately turned out to be that wasn't really the case. Like, they balanced the characters pretty well in BVS, and would have been even better if the editing was better.
Yeah.
But as opposed to Civil War, where they threw everybody in the kitchen sink. Great, they made it work, as Marvel always does. Make it work. That's undeniable. But they had more characters than BVS did, more main characters, I guess, and supporting characters, and they didn't get half the flack. Do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, I think Suicide Squad is like, all right, let's also throw everybody in. Let's throw Batman in. Let's maybe even throw the Flash in. We don't know yet. And we're going to show you we can make it work.
The reason why Marvel made it work is because they had 10 to 12 movies already under their belt to make it work. And, who they introduced? Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and both of them were phenomenal on screen. We know who Spider-Man is. We've had 5 movies. Black Panther's the dude. He's the wild card. If you're not a comic book fan, you don't know who Black Panther is. I know who Black Panther is. Seeing him on screen, amazing. Absolutely one of my favorite parts of that movie. He was perfect. But they had a story. And they executed that story. BVS was... When you don't have dialogue between your two main characters and build that hatred towards each other, there's an issue. It was just strictly Bruce Wayne don't like Superman because he's got godlike powers and can possibly destroy us. Oh, I got 2 of you.
Hang on.
Hang on a second.
Here, let me try to fix that. Sorry.
Yeah. I got a clone of G95. Hang on. Now, can you hear me?
Yep. Is that better?
That's better. All right.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's just, BVS just had a really sloppy story. It was a sloppy story. And it seemed like Zack Snyder just saw the end of The Dark Knight Returns and was like, I want to make a movie about this fight. And we'll go from this fight and then just, spread out. We'll figure out a beginning and a middle. And then we'll use the death of Superman for the end. And it don't work that way. It doesn't. It didn't work. It didn't. Even with the extended edition where they added everything back in, which, I appreciated. And you get to see things. You get to see reasons why. That made it okay. It made it a lot more tolerable. But overall, what pissed me off with that movie was there's no character interaction.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be more. I hate you get these iconic superheroes, and granted, it is a different universe, but I hate when you get these iconic heroes just acting dumb to one another. Come on. It's Superman's better than that. Batman's better than that. And that's where I get mad as Zack Snyder.
But I think Suicide Squad is going to be all characters interacting with each other because they have no choice because they're in the squad together.
And that's
it's going to be I do think it's like I said before, maybe them taking preliminary criticisms of BVS and applying the changes towards Suicide Squad to build a better world, to build a better cinematic universe.
So this. I expect this movie to have lots of character interaction, lots of progression of characters and development. That's what it seems like it's working towards, is these bad people kind of maybe finding themselves a little bit more and maybe becoming better. I don't think Killer Croc is ever going to be a good guy. I don't want to see Harley Quinn ever be a good guy, I guess. But maybe Deadshot kind of reconsidering things, or the movie does seem to focus quite a bit on Diablo, which is kind of weird. Like, he's a pretty obscure character. I'd never heard of him. I'd even never heard of him until Suicide the cast was first announced. But it does seem to have a pretty big focus on him. Like, he's featured prominently in the trailers. The little synopsis that DC put out along with the mugshot, headshot kind of things that they did a few weeks ago gave a pretty detailed kind of explanation as to, like, he wants to redeem himself for his crimes, or his past mistakes or whatever, and that's pretty interesting.
That's that's like a Latin thing, and I'm not trying to just say that because I'm Spanish or whatever. But and it's probably gonna go for everybody. But there's a lot of like repenting, in a hardcore Latin family.
Mm-hmm.
I just came back from the funeral. They go 9 days and pray. It's really like they're real spiritual, and that's where I see Diablo. That's what I see him being. He's real spiritual. Like, for every action there's a reaction, or there's a consequence, and he has to repent for that. Because it just seems like maybe that's the way he was brought up, being a Latino. But that's just me going. That's just me saying what I'm saying.
No, I get that, and I can kind of see that, but it also does seem like he's featured. Like, I think he's going to be a really big part of the movie.
I agree.
To the average fan, I think people are expecting, okay, it's just going to be a movie about Will Smith, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. And I say Will Smith, not Deadshot, because people complain that Will Smith only plays himself in movies, which I disagree with. Watch 7 Pounds if you want. That movie will prove you wrong. That man has range, like a lot of range. That movie.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw Ali, but that wasn't Will Smith. That was Muhammad Ali. So
yes, exactly.
But how could you judge? How could you judge a character that you've never seen on screen before, and you have to bring him to life? I think from everything I've seen in the trailers and the commercials, he's nailing it. He's absolutely nailing it. It reminds me of the character of Floyd Lawton, and
yeah,
some people I think some people just don't like it because it's Will Smith and he's a black man in a white man's role, and I'm like, because that's personally the way I feel. It seems like that's what people get upset at. Because you don't.
I think, like, isn't Deadshot technically Latino?
No, I don't think so. His name's Floyd Lawton.
That's a pretty white name, but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure in at least a few iterations he's been portrayed as Latino.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. He might have a Mexican mother. I don't know. A Mexican mother, a white father, got the name. I have no clue. And I'm not saying Mexican can have a Puerto Rican mother or freaking Cuban mother. Who knows? But yeah, no, I never heard of that. But even still, it's a simple name. It doesn't call for a particular race. So what? And for me, what I loved about the casting is it's Will Smith. Like when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, people hated it. I fucking loved it. You know what? Because Ben Affleck is a marquee name, and he has something to prove because of Daredevil. Will Smith doesn't have anything to prove to me.
He might have to make up for Hancock. Well, that was like 10 years ago.
Exactly. But you know what? People, especially now in today's range, in today's world, people don't give a fuck about that. They're not paying attention to that. But Will Smith is still a marketable name. I'm not saying he's what he was in the 90s and early 2000s, but he's a
Mhm.
marketable name. And to put him in a fucking ensemble cast in a super villain movie, oh yes, please sign me up. I want to see Will Smith play the bad guy. Because when did you see that? Seriously. So that's what I want to see. I want to see
Yeah.
Will Smith play the bad guy. I think it was a perfect choice. Perfect. So yeah, I can't. I cannot wait. Damn it! Now you get me psyched now. I'm fucking psyched now. Fuck these evil reviews. They don't know what they're talking about.
They don't understand the character like we do.
Yo, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here on Saturday. Like, wow, this movie was absolutely shit. I can't believe it. They were right. Fuck this shit. The DC universe is sunk.
But I think me being who I am, they'd be like, oh, I wanted to like it, so I guess I'll try to defend it as best I can. You know how I am on the Godzilla Block Party. I'll try to defend something just because no one else will. So if that be the case, you can count on me to be like, well, Harley Quinn was at least pretty hot, right?
Listen, I have a friend like that, and he goes out, and this dude, he pretty much likes everything he sees.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even if he doesn't like it, he finds things to like about it.
It's an admirable quality.
Oh yeah, it is, but it's a terrible one to have, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's one of those throwaway things. You don't need that quality.
Mhm.
You like it, you like it. You don't like it, just say you didn't like it, whether you're with or against the grain. But so yeah, I mean, honestly, look, I hated Shin Godzilla. I fucking hated that movie, but I haven't seen it yet, so let me stop. I'm just fucking with y'all.
I will admit that I do find Cara Delevingne, who plays Enchantress, way more attractive than Margot Robbie, but that's just me. Might be the eyebrows.
It might be those eyebrows, man. She definitely has some really thick eyebrows there. Yeah. She's a hottie, though. She is fucking beautiful. Okay? Definitely give her props. But yeah, man, listen. It's kind of late. We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, we went over by a long shot. How long we thought we were going to only go for half an hour, 45 minutes, but it's been
an hour 17 minutes. We were in
hour
this.
17.
But there's still a shit ton to talk about, and you know what though, it was worth going over because we haven't done this in a long time. And you know, like I told you, off camera, off podcast, I'm bringing all these podcasts back. I'm settled into my new place. I start my new job in a couple of days. Once that's going, everything will start falling back in place, and we will get these podcasts back up. Thank you to the Godzilla Block Party, because we've been making some noise. We've been getting some numbers, and I appreciate that. Everybody who's sharing that shit. But this is what we do. It's the G Show, and the G Show's, it's about all of it. So we're going to go all in, and this is definitely our Comic Talk podcast. And I want to thank you, G95, for joining me once again tonight.
Of course. I was more than excited to come on for this one.
We've been...
we've been talking about doing this one for a really long time.
Yeah.
And especially with all the negative reviews coming out, someone has to be looking forward to this movie, and it might as well be us.
Of course, why not? And it just sucks, man, because, again, we did get so much awesome shit from Comic-Con that we weren't able to do, and then, like, all right, because like, I really wanted to get it done, and then all of a sudden, you know, I had personal issues pop up. I had to leave my freaking home for a couple of days, but I had to do it. Was very important. But we're back, and you know what? We'll get to that. We'll get to the Comic-Con stuff. We will absolutely do that. But right now, we're in Suicide Squad mode.
And when we're not in Suicide Squad mode, we're in Shin Godzilla mode.
Yeah, and we're going to go back to being in Star Wars mode. Believe that.
Oh, yeah. And then Terminator mode and Predator mode and...
Spotlight mode.
Anything mode. Any Gremlins mode when Christmas comes around.
Yeah, we're going to be... Wow, man. Yeah, we're going to go for days for that. But, yeah, so anyway, ladies and gentlemen, man, thank y'all for joining us. This is the G Show's Comic Talk. I am G1. That is G95. And we're out. Peace.
In Squad we trust.